Welcome to episode 3 of the MinBet Poker Podcast. Just for a bit of context and info for this episode and a bunch more coming, I ran these a while ago for a poker podcast that I was paid to do for a poker news site, and they ultimately just never uploaded them. They were really slow and sloppy in editing and uploading, so I got these back when they got taken over recently. And I didn't want to waste them. I think there's some amazing podcasts and conversations I've had, so it made sense for me to start MinBet. I thought it makes a lot of sense. I love poker, I love content creation. So yeah, this upcoming guest is what I consider the online MTT GOAT, the M boss in tournaments. He's also one of the best ever poker players in my opinion. Incredible guy. He's started Raise Your Edge, which is one of the premier poker training sites going. And I thought we had an hour's conversation and it was pretty incredible, very enlightening, and it was a true privilege to talk with the one, the only bencb. So I hope you enjoy. Absolute pleasure for the guest today. Arguably the best online player ever. I think in my opinion, I'd agree. The MTT boss in online poker. bencb, welcome, man. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
podcast.
Appreciate it.
It's great to have you on.
Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely, man. So when you Google a lot of other poker players, you can find their background quite easily. But you're one of the few guys. It feels like you've been streaming on Twitch for forever, or every 25k and 5k. So I think it'd be really cool to maybe just like for you to give us a bit of a summary of like your starting poker and what led you to where you are now, I guess.
I think it's the same story as with most people. Played with friends, got hooked, had some friends that made some consistent money. At the beginning, you think it's a scam. Then you try, you don't listen to them, to their strategy advice. You think you're the best. You go broke 3 times and then you take it serious and then you make it.
Absolutely. I mean, you started in, was it hyper Sit-n-Gos, I believe?
Just full ring, 9-man Sit-n-Gos, regular speed. Started cash game, but didn't really like it. Really liked the Sit-n-Gos. I really liked the thrill of playing for like some sort of prize pool. And then transitioned over to turbo Sit-n-Gos, 6-mix Sit-n-Gos, 6-mix hyper Sit-n-Gos, some heads-up Sit-n-Gos. So lots of just like short-handed poker, short stack poker. So Absolutely. That also helped me to transition over to tournaments at a later stage.
Absolutely. And so then I'm guessing from then on, you just kind of grinded your way up slowly through the stakes, right? Like, 100 buy-in, 109 buy-ins.
No, I started on $1 Sit-n-Gos and then up to the $5,000 Sit-n-Gos in like 3, 4, 5 years, I would say, roughly, approximately.
Awesome. Do you ever look back and just think, wow, like it's been a bit of a ride?
Sorry?
Do you ever sometimes look back and think, wow, it's been a bit of a journey, from $1?
Ups. I mean, ups and downs. It wasn't smooth. I went up to, I think it took me half a year to get to $2 Sit-n-Gos, to grind my bankroll from $50 to $100.
Yeah.
$5 Sit-n-Gos, $10. I took bankroll management very serious because I early on understood how poker fucks with your emotions. So I think just being modest and humble and not thinking, oh, I can control it, I can neglect bankroll management, you're a fool. I mean, those are the ones who go broke the fastest anyway. So I had a lot of respect for that. It was just like, nope, if I have 49 buy-ins, I'm going to drop down. Or if I have 48 buy-ins, I'm not going to move to the next buy, whatever my limits were. Back in the days, it was like 50 buy-ins roughly. If you played hypers, more like 100, 200 buy-ins. But I took that very, very serious because you have to exhaust a lot of your willpower in going through the downswings. You don't want to waste your time and energy, more importantly, on, I don't know, I'm at 48 buy-ins. So there was no discussion, no thinking, no debating. Should I play higher, lower? Nope, I don't have the buy-ins yet. I don't have the bankroll. So I stick on the lower stakes. It always reminds me of, what was his name? Steve Jobs and a lot of the very successful entrepreneurs that never changed their clothing. They wear the exact same shirt every single day. It's the same principle because it costs willpower early in the morning. You only have limited amount of willpower at your disposal to make decisions throughout the day. At some point, it's empty. Just fuck it, I'm going to eat the cookie. And when you start in the morning, what I'm going to be wearing, it's the same shit. And I see the same with bankroll management. I'm just like, all right, these are my rules. It's off the list. I don't need to spend any time, any energy, any studying, looking up proper bankroll management here and there. That's my plan. I stick to it, period. Now I can focus on studying. Now I can focus on dealing with downswings. That's already painful enough, I don't want to deal with bankroll management at some point anymore. So
absolutely, it's controlling the controllables.
The same, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I guess like one thing that fascinates me about you, dude, is like, and it always I think a lot of people I know is you're playing against the very best, right? You're playing against the elite of the elite, and you're happily streaming, happily giving info away. Does it ever come to your mind that maybe I shouldn't be giving away all my hand histories to guys that aren't giving me any crumbs at all?
It's playing poker with a handicap, I'm not gonna lie. And sometimes when I play against a certain opponent and I do something where I know this guy's just a freaking station, freaking calling station. That's why I'm value betting very thinly on the river. But in these days, everyone is a little snowflake. So if I just say that on stream, everyone is gonna go mental on Twitter. Oh, bencb roasted this guy. It's like that's all we approach the game basically. That's all. I would never, if someone streams and say, I think bencb sucks in this spot, that's why I'm doing that. It's like, all right, cool, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I would never take it personal, and I've never done that. When people criticize my play, I say, all right, it's legitimate. I'm not perfect. I certainly have flaws. But it happened in the past that people took it very serious. It would DM me. It's like, well, it was just very simple things as I just don't think he has bluffs here. That's why I'm folding, right? But it's not that just this particular guy. I just think in general it's very hard to bluff here. Why are you taking it so personal? And then people would message me, that's very disrespectful. Like, why do you call me a fish? I didn't even call you a fish, Yeah, but that's what you're communicating by saying that. It's like, dude, just get your fucking shit together, man. So, but I'm doing it more in the context of I don't want to reveal my reads, of course, because I know already play with a handicap. So if I play against someone and I know I do certain play because I think he has that league, of course, I don't want to say it on stream because otherwise he could change his game without me even knowing it. I don't even know. Is he going to see it? Is he going to be adapting? Like, I have no clue. So then I just try to approach it a little bit more from a theoretical standpoint. It's like, here we should be doing this and this. And then I say, I think maybe he's here not bluffing enough, and that's why I make this fold. But yeah, a lot of decisions are very exploitative, but I have to be very careful the way I communicate it on stream. Because it is a massive disadvantage, not gonna lie. However, it's an advantage because I constantly have to think about the hand because I have to explain it to the audience. So I would say it helps me in a certain degree that I will do less mistakes, less blunders, right? Because when you think out loud, you come to a point where wait a minute, that's bullshit, and then very often I would change my decision. So certainly I make less mistakes, but it also leaves me to, basically my opponents making exploits against because they can see exactly how I play. Right. But also then for Raise Your Edge, it's good, marketing, content. I'm not gonna lie, that also helps the business. So yeah, there are upsides and downsides to streaming.
It's the best stream out there, quite easily. I think it's fast, like you said. The fact that you can sit there and explain your spot and you're playing like a 25k final table or whatever, I think it's just fascinating. And the fact that you've done it, it's not something you started recently, right? You've kind of given this info away for years, and you're still winning these games. So I think it's just incredible. But I guess there's that meta level of also he's watching your stream. Maybe you can say something to get him on tilt. There's all these kind of levels to it. I think it's fascinating. And I spoke to some friends before I did the podcast. Actually, we were just talking about your streams and stuff and playing in these games. And we all kind of agree, your mental game is for sure the best. We can I'll sometimes join your stream late on like a Sunday. You're down like infinite buy-ins, just completely cool, calm, collected, and I lose a buy-in in cash, and I'm just like losing my mind to a bad beat, whatever. Where did you develop your mental game? Where did this all come from? This like being in control.
I think playing Sit-n-Gos has helped a lot because I play like 100 Sit-n-Gos a day, maybe even more, 150, 200 Sit-n-Gos a day on my peak. And I would also play like 15, 20 tablets simultaneously. If it went down to like 600, 6 max hypers, mainly only 10 or 12 because it's so much action and you play short stacks, so you play a lot of more hands than with 100 big blinds because a lot of shoving, calling, a lot of ICM, bubble situations. You play 600 right, 3 left, you're already at the bubble. So it's very crucial decisions. So you want to think a little bit more. It's not just like, okay, if I make a bit of a loser flat call, it's not a big mistake, Don't want to say you select there, but naturally you select a little bit more in the earlier stages where you can make up for a poor pre-flop decision with good post-flop play. But that's not the case. So you either make a good decision or not. It's like the money goes in pre-flop. So I think just having so many all-in situations made me like changed my how do you call it, like sensitivity towards
Sensitivity,
bad
yeah.
beats. Yeah, it just I got more resistant towards it, right? Than someone who just started and sees these all-ins and sees, wow, you can lose aces 3 times in a row pre-flop all-in. And they think it's rigged, but I've seen it multiple times. So it's nothing really new to me. Of course, I'm not saying I'm sitting there, it does still bother me. So I think actually the impact on me, it is exactly the same as for beginners. And now some listeners might be, wait a minute, how does it make sense? Well, it makes sense because we're still human beings, and the main difference is the way I react to it. Right? I have the same emotions. I can just control it better. It's like I see, all right, there's disappointment, there's anger, there's entitlement. I also have it in me. I just like, all right, cool, let's move on, and maybe it takes me 5 or 7 seconds and someone else needs 20 minutes to cool down, to get in his rational mind back. But in these 20 minutes, he probably has done so much damage and punted off so many stacks, it's very hard to recover from it, to have a good session. So the starting point is exactly the same, I think. Maybe it's a little bit less, not gonna lie, but this is also what I don't focus on, because at the end of the day, we're human beings. And at some point, it opened my eyes. I think that the game changer was also for me reading the book A New Earth from Eckhart Tolle, who also explains that and what's going on, and that it's not about suppressing something, it's about accepting it and just the way you react to it. And that really has helped me, because I was also in a stage where I was like, okay, I know I need to be mentally strong, this kind of like self-help everywhere, and being positive and pushing and hustle and this and that. And I think it helps to a certain degree, but can also be very toxic. And then just understanding, hey, it's not about the emotions in the first place, it's about how you react to it. Stoicism. I think what I would recommend to poker players in these days is to get a book about Stoicism, read about Stoicism first, that cognitive knowledge, understanding it will already help, but then also practicing it, whatever it is. I think then, of course, meditating, taking cold showers, all sorts of challenges I'm doing helps me also to become mentally stronger in a certain degree. But that's just like, I wouldn't even say that has the biggest impact. I think the biggest impact has really to what I mentioned at the beginning, just observing myself and practicing also during the poker sessions, to just remind myself, all right, there's this entitlement, there's this kind of like, I think this guy sucks and he sits there with chips, like, why is it I'm not so much better than him? That kind of entitlement, and also being cool with it, that it's not that bad. You have negative emotions, you have negative thoughts, but it doesn't really impact my game or my actions in any way.
I think that's really fascinating, especially like when you talked about, because like you said, there's a lot of motivation, like garbage out there, where it's just like, you'll be bigger than this, you're better. But you're quite much on the line of accept the beat, accept the emotions you have, but then just move on quicker. Don't stew in it. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And Eckhart Tolle.
A question to you: like, when was your last day? Can you remember a single day in your life when you woke up and you went to bed and you haven't had one single negative emotion or?
It's hard. Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, even on your vacation, when you were in the most beautiful place that you can imagine, you will probably have few seconds or multiple situations where you think about your stupid work, or something triggers something in you where you still feel angry. It's like, so I think it's a good, or these are the kind of signs to me that chasing this. And I've been working with excellent people from different industries, whether it's business, whether it's mindset, like Elliot Rowe, and they all tell me the same thing. Like, if you're trying to chase that, like trying to just be positive and positive emotions all the time, it's going to be quite painful, a quite painful experience. So that really has helped me to shift my mind, and just, it all comes to being okay with feeling like shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I don't know if you know the painter Bob Ross. He's all that curly hair. He's quite famous from like in the 80s, but he was doing a painting and he was adding some dark paint. And he said, if you don't have dark paint, you can't put contrast in these beautiful light colors. If it's all light
Yeah,
colors,
true.
you don't
Yeah.
appreciate it. And I thought that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And I wanted to add before I finish, kindergarten suckouts. Just the kindergarten suckouts, right? You move by, you go again.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome.
I actually have this from a book. I mean, I kind of extrapolated a little further. It's a German philosopher who has this approach of, I mean, life is just a multitude of challenges and tests that you have to go through. And whenever he has a really bad day, he used to, when he commutes to work and his car broke and then this happened and this happened, he will always remind myself, oh yeah, I'm just picked for the elite program, so to speak, of being tested, right? God wants me to be in that elite program of challenges because he thinks so highly of me. I mean, it might be a bit of religious. I'm not really a religious person, but I like to, take some concepts from whatever, this religion, this culture, just like what works for me. And I see it very similar to poker. Whenever I'm in these really rough moments, basically, all right, I'm in this elite program now. God is testing, or higher power is testing me. Just a kindergarten suck out for me. Let's move on. Bring me to the next higher tier program that you have. Give me more bad beats. This is just the kind of approach I have when I'm in these situations. And it was more spontaneous reaction because I had a horrible session. And I think, on the turn, I was like, I think I got 1 hour or 2 hour because I had also blocked the suits. So I think 2 hour. And I was like, all right, give me the ace of spades. All right, fuck it. Kindergarten suck out. We go again.
Yeah.
So
it's a famous one. I always think about that now. Whenever I have a bad beat, I think it's like, accept the emotion, move on. And I guess this brings up an interesting question, which I actually not asked anybody, but I spoke about my friends, and I thought you'd be a great person to talk about it with. What do you think about like the survivorship bias in poker? Because we talk about these bad beats, we talk about overcoming stuff. But obviously, there's going to be some guys out there, right, that have played perfect, done everything right, accepted the beats, but just aren't around in the game, or maybe not at the level we are paying attention to. What's your thoughts on like that in poker?
I mean, so survivorship bias certainly exists in poker, of course. I mean, not gonna neglect that. But it also exists in everything else in business. I mean, I think most poker players that say, "Oh, this guy just survivorship bias," you're just clueless, because you can say the same for business. You see it in crypto, right? Some people made a bunch of money, just got lucky. Same in poker. And same in business. You might not even have the best idea. Actually, maybe your whole strategy is minus EV. You just were at the right time, at the right place, met the right people, and your business. And someone else did it absolutely perfect. He was just that didn't have this extra luck. I would say that not everything, a lot of the business, you need a bit of extra luck. It is what it is. And I've seen it now with Raise Your Edge and another company I have, that you can work really, really hard and do a lot of things right. But a lot of the things, for example, when we released the Turner Masterclass back in the days, if I would do exactly what we have done at that time today, we would probably fail, because the market is so competitive that we actually have to do 10x more the output what we did back then. I don't want to say we were the first tournament course, because we clearly weren't, but we were the first, I would say. There were really an online player like me with good results, a very structured course. I think also Upswing Poker released a course at the same time. And you had poker tournament content, don't get me wrong, but it was more like Poker Strategy and Remember Run It Once, where they had like a marketplace of videos and then you can pick them. And I just wanted to be different, where I take them by the hand and say, all right, watch this video until this video, and you're going to be good in tournament poker, right? So I wanted to take them a bit more the hand and guide them through the process. So we got lucky with being at the right time. I didn't even screen the market or anything. I just I want to do that, because before that I did a Sit-n-Gos course, similar, and it was quite successful. And I said, hey, I would like to do the same for tournaments, because I also transitioned to tournaments and I educated myself. And I always found it Roll It Once had great videos, Poker Strategy had good videos, great coaches, but I always felt like I have to do the work myself to assemble the videos that I want to watch.
Right, yeah.
So today, probably we would fail if I would, even though we do everything right in terms of the content and marketing, whatever it is, and I have good results, whatever. I don't think it wouldn't do so well as maybe it wouldn't even work at all. Right. So we got lucky the way the market existed back in the days that there wasn't just so much, there was a huge demand for it and a very little supply. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you should screen the market. Right. But I was not an experienced business person. Right. I was like 20 something, my mid 20s. So it's not like, hey, I already founded 10 companies. So we just replicate what used to work in the past.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And
You're that guy who jumps into like high stakes where he's a field player. He's like, I'll feel my way and win. I go on live reads. I mean, that's it. Reminds me of like preparation meets opportunity, right? Like that's exactly it.
You create your own luck.
Yeah,
you still need the luck. And I've also met people, I mean, very, very few that didn't do so, but they all made some money with poker. Like typically, I've never met one who was working really, really hard and did a lot of things right and played well, had a good mindset that didn't make any money.
Yeah, it does feel like
every time I had someone, Ben, I'm working so hard, I play good, I have a good mindset, and then I did sessions. There was a time where you do a lot of coaching sessions. At some point, I just got tired of it, and now I only work with professionals. And every single time they would claim that, and they said, Ben, I lost, I don't know, 20K last year, and even though I'm a horrible downswing, and we looked into something, and I was like, please don't get mad, but you're absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
You're not playing well. You obviously have tilt issues, and you're just completely overestimating yourself every time. I don't have a single student who would say, yeah, actually, you just run bad. There's nothing I can teach you. Just keep grinding. You're just in a downswing. Because the ones usually that are very self-critical, they would say, Ben, I'm in this down. Like, I'm not running well, but tell me, what can I do better? It's just already a different kind of approach. Those who say, Ben, I play well. I'm in a downswing. I have a good mindset. Like, please help me. I can already tell, no, you're not playing well when you approach it like this. Sorry, but that's the hard truth, right? Because I don't want people to lose their money there unnecessarily. So that's just the hard truth for some players.
100%. I think a lot of these players they'll claim downswings, they'll claim losses like bad beats, whatever. But if you really look through the hand history, you'll always find something. I feel. Obviously, I've got lots of friends. We all play online. They'll do. Oh, I've had this session. It went terribly. Let's have a look at some of your hands. Then you'll say, well, why are you doing that with that hand? Like clearly, like I said, tilt or there's other external variables. So yeah, that's great. And I guess that kind of like segues right into a really good question that I was going to ask you about, which is like basically the landscape of the coaching in today's poker. It's quite interesting now. Like obviously, like I think you got into not an argument, but someone gave you an RC comment on a tweet you had about your like elite package for your coaching, your personal one. Someone left a comment. I can't remember who it was, but I spoke to Ginge about it in one of the episodes where we talked about what poker coaching, because Ginge had tried to do his own academy, cash games, and he kind of just like he found it very interesting because it's really hard to put a price on what good coaching is, right? And the structure. Like some guys, you might just be able to sit with them one day and give every bit of info, and they can take it and turn that into winning poker. And then some guys, you might need to take them for a whole month, multiple videos, multiple tests. So yeah, what's your thoughts on today's like landscape of poker coaching?
I think it's in any industry that you have a lot of completely overpriced coaches that simply can't deliver. When I watch some of the training videos, I'm just, man, it would be so easy to just have a look at some ICM ranges. But I think it's you have it in fitness, you have it in marketing, your business, you have to do your due diligence, right? Pricing, at the end, you decide the price. I mean, we have been criticized for our pricings as well, especially our mentorship program. I mean, it starts with people even not being able to read the price and thinking I charge 4K an hour, but they don't see it's actually a 6 months program. And that it's group coachings, individual communication in Discord if someone has questions. Of course, if it would be one-on-one for every single student, I would even charge more than that, of course. And in the end, you decide the price. And what is your hourly? it doesn't even, if I break it down, it's not even my hourly what I'm playing with online tournaments. And I've shared my results. And I think it's just a loser's mentality. And I don't really care about these people anymore. You're not paying for that hour. You pay actually for someone who has 10 years of experience and all the work and teaches you in that hour that would take you multiple weeks or months of yourself to figure that out. And most people just don't understand that. So that's totally cool because I don't want to be working with these people anyway. And I don't really work with any beginners at all. So it's just very sad to see in a certain degree how limited people are these days when it comes to their thinking, because I think for our program, a lot of people thought it's just like a one-time thing and they didn't even see in the middle, it says 6 months program and you get to work with 3 different coaches. Criticize us for life coachings, but I have experienced mental coaches that they would be working with for all aspects outside of the poker game with me when it comes to the poker strategy, and another coach who is our bounty coach who has a degree in who's basically a math professor, right, when it comes to even more fundamentals. So it's an absolute sick team that has a lot of experience, and the number might seem high, but what you get in a mentorship program, it's absolutely sick value. And it just, people see the numbers like, oh, it's so much money, how can you charge that? Well, I wouldn't do it for less. I don't fucking care what you think. I make twice as much when I just would stream in my hourly. You know, consider usually when I stream, it's also pretty good for us in terms of marketing, right? It's not even considered. I would 2x, 3x my hourly. It might sound a lot. And I just feel like people in these days know it's frowned upon to charge a lot of money. It's like, all right, there's someone who made multiple millions with online poker, has 10 years experience in coachings, has brought multiple students up to high stakes. Is this not fair enough to say, hey, you know, I put a high price tag on my my If you have a problem with that, maybe you should look into yourself if that triggers you.
Yeah.
Because I value my time and I value my freedom, and I only do it when it's really also worth. And I want to make a lot of money. And I think it's also, and these days, something where when you say I want to make a lot of money, how do you dare? I have big dreams. I have big visions. I also think about my family, my friends, you know, just like security and being able to provide in these days. And it just seems so, you're a bad person. You're a bad person. Yeah, sorry. Like I have ambitions. I don't just want to work a 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's like, like you're the only other person to do this kind of like charge, like pricing. I can, like, we know for a fact there's all these other coaches that probably charge even more to beginners, right? You know, maybe there's some wealthy beginners out there that want to learn from a guy. Yeah. You know, like I find it. Yeah, I thought it was very weird, but that's kind of the poker community these days. I feel it's very like toxic in some areas. I mean, talking about toxicity, Matt Berkey made 1 million because someone called his coaching shit. So he plays a guy heads up and wins 1 million. So you know, it's crazy.
What was the conclusion? Because it is an interesting topic when you talk with Ginge Poker about it and the price tags.
So what did we in Ginge decide? We kind of came to the conclusion that I think the coaching and the pricing and the model should all be dependent on the individual that you're coaching, and more tailored. Because I think it's like we kind of agreed that it's kind of crazy that some of these coaching courses go on for so long, and it has no kind of thought to the individual. Someone might need it that long. Someone might just need to be sat down, 1 hour database review. You're doing this too much. Yeah, this is what I've learned from my experience at this level. Done. Yeah. And the value's the same, right? The value's the same for the guy, but it's just in a different structure, completely different structure. Yeah.
Well, that's up to the coach's responsibility to screen in advance. So we and everyone can test it. And I'm telling this every single time. If you apply for my private coaching, usually the way when I read his email, I know you're not ready, dude. You're just wasting your money. Also, then I have a first 10-15-minute call, and usually I ask them, "What's your financial situation like? What's your life like? I want to see, are you in a situation where you're even able to take on my advice?" Luckily, I'm in a position I can tell them, "No, I'm not going to coach you. I don't need your money. I only need your money. I only need your money when I see you get value from it, because I know it's a lot of money for a lot of players." For a mentorship program, also there, I would say 9 out of 10 we're denying. We were not in the need to make that money, but we know it's worth it if you're in the right position, if you're financially stable. That's the advice I'm giving to everyone. Like, you shouldn't play poker when you're in the financial need of the money. It's not going to work out.
Yeah.
And also, emotionally, whatever is going on in your life, if you just have some tragedy or some drama, you should probably not start playing poker. In fact, not sign up for. Of course, I cannot eradicate it 100%, but I think I have also developed a good experience, a good feeling to see, hey, how does he talk? What's his mood like? Like, is he yawning 5 times during our call? It's like, dude, go back, fix your sleep. That's also very important to me.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
What's your level of energy? And then, if all things considered, then we can start. And then I think it's also a good fit. Or sometimes in telling me, I don't think you're in mentorship. Maybe you're more methodical person. Maybe sign up for pair. It's only $50 a month, but I think you get more value for your money.
That's fascinating. Yeah,
I've also had people signing up for like a $5,000 package with me just for a couple of hours. And after the second hour, I stopped it. I told them, just get the Turn Masterclass. You pay 25%. I make less money, but what you need right now is just a very structured approach. Sit down, and you're gonna get more value from it for your money. And then I also tell them, watch this video. This is what you need, because it's a lot of content, of course. Mm-hmm. And I give them so I do agree what you guys talked about it, but I think that coaches are afraid to say no in these days. I think that summarizes it very well. You need to be a coach that can say no. And in fact, most are not ready for individual coaching because they still think it's a magic pill. Right? It's like, I take this coaching and I'm going to be a winning player. But that's just not the case. So yeah, this just individual approach. That's why we have so many different things. As software, we even have free course. Sometimes I send them back, just take the free 5-day course, and then we can take it from there and see. But me sitting here telling you what open race ranges are is probably not going to give you a lot of value when you can get it for free.
Yeah, that's really cool. I never heard any coach say that before, so that's really interesting. That you want to make sure it's like a partnership more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, and also, this is what I don't understand in poker. We all are so much after long term. I also had some very cool business things happening from students I met because they see they can trust me, because ultimately, one day or another, they might have something for you, and for me, where I need an advice on, because they're in a certain industry. We chat, sometimes become friends, and then I ask them for advice, and then just a different placement. Hey, Ben just wanted my best and not just my money. Let help him out, and that's how you build your network, right? Yeah. You just now in these, like, after 10 years, I can call this guy, hey, I need this help, I need that help. It's not that I'm abused. It's just this mutual kind of, like, you want the best for each other. And that's how you build, like, such a powerful circle that if there's a Twitter gargoyle complaining about my prices, dude, I don't even want you to be in my network. I don't fucking care, man. Like,
yeah, that's like exactly what we said about people. People want to, like, kind of poo-poo on people. People want to push people down. But, like, if they heard this, I think they would change their tune dramatically, because you're not looking at people like customers. You're looking at people like partners.
Yeah.
And so people get mutual. They get the value, and you do the coaching, and that's really cool. So we're gonna go to our last kind of few topics now, and I want you to take your mind back. I'm gonna kind of bring up 3 particular situations, but I want to take your mind back to this time, and then you tell me your perspective on the events. So let me take you back to 2020 during COVID, when you were probably in where you are now every day, right? Because obviously tournaments are going crazy, and everyone's talking about a guy called Fedor Cruz who was using a dream machine, and that came to light. What were your thoughts when that happened, and did it kind of affect your perspective on online poker?
I mean, usually I try to avoid that stuff, any kind of drama.
I wouldn't say it's more of a drama perspective, but it's more from the fact that you're playing at such a high arena, right? The highest stakes.
No, cheating is going on. I mean, you're quite delusional if you think there's no cheating going on, even the highest stakes, for sure.
Yeah.
So just have to be so good that
it's true.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm weird when it comes to this. I remember, like, so many times also back in the days with Sit-n-Gos, it's just like, there's nothing I can really do. I stop. What? I write an angry email to PokerStars, and they're okay, we do something. No, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
I mean, they do care in terms of they have a security team, but this anonymous sit-and-go grinder is complaining about there might be cheating, unless I don't have concrete evidence, nothing on it. I just find so much. I don't know. I don't see. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, I was going to bring up some other situations, but I think like your response wasn't what I was expecting. But my whole logic was coming from the fact, because I was like, obviously chatting to my friends, and we're just like, man, this guy, he gives everyone his hands histories, he gives everyone his reads, pretty much, to like, oh, this guy is going to call too much, I want to overbet he calls. But then you're also like, you're willingly kind of or not willingly, but you're knowingly playing against people who are colluding, who are using RTA. Yeah, and you're just kind of like, okay, whatever. I should keep playing. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. As I said, even if you're in business, I've been scammed in business. You have scams and cheaters everywhere, in every single, even working with lawyers and consultants.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not in my control. It's in my control to just be so good that you can still win even though cheaters exist. And also that you develop experience so you can trust your instincts and gut feeling when you are in a situation. If I compare myself now versus 5 years ago, 7 years ago, when I started taking Raise Your Edge more serious and working with consultants and lawyers and whatever, today I'm a completely different person, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm way more skeptical. I'm doing way more research because he's a lawyer, knows what he's talking. But there's so many dodgy lawyers, man. It's insane. Anyway, and the same for every industry. Whatever you get into, collaborations, projects. Also, when it's just with poker buddies, talking to them about hands, like there might not be cheaters, but they might be wasting your time. Like kind of not really having your best interest at heart. Maybe it's a different form of cheating, right? They're secretly celebrating when you are losing, and they're not really genuinely happy for you when you have a big win, right? So it also creates this kind of false energy, this kind of false belief. Oh, you're good, you have a good relationship, but he's actually cheating on you, right? Because he's not honest. I mean, it's a different kind of cheating, and I think it's in every area of your life. So this is where you just have to, and I'm always saying, don't let a decision burn you twice, right? Just because you had your first girl in high school and it didn't work out, and maybe she betrayed you or she wasn't honest, you're also not going to run around like, no, I'm never going to meet a girl again. Because sometimes I have it that I talk to poker players, I got scammed once and now I'm not doing this anymore. But it's like, listen, but then you're also not going to have great opportunities, right? If you now run around, it's like, I'm not going to do this deal. I'm not going to do the staking deal. I'm not going to do the sponsorship. I'm not going to hire this guy. I'm not going to be working for this guy. I actually had some people that started working for me, and beginning everything was fine. And then I felt like they're a bit, something was weird. And then I would talk to them. I said, yeah, Ben, I have trust issues. I was like, why? Yeah, I got screwed also with my esports organization. Yeah, in this previous organization, I got screwed over. It's like, all right, so what happens now if you completely close up? What do you think is going to happen for the rest of your life? And that actually made them think, because you're probably not going to have great opportunities. Because I, as a business owner, I don't know what went. I just see that you're weird, right? And then I just tell them, don't let a decision burn you twice, because you got burned once and now you get burned a second time. So you're actually the one losing in the long term. So it doesn't mean you should blindly trust everyone, but learn from it. Like, what were the signs that you ignored? So you take it a little more serious next time. And it's decreasing the odds of getting fucked over, basically, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I see it with this whole cheating. That's why I'm kind of like, when I saw this Fedor Cruz's scan, I was like, yeah, not surprised to hear that, Like,
okay.
I know it's happening. So, and if 2 weeks there's another cheating scan, and I'm like, oh, cool, tell me something new.
I mean, I was going to bring up the other two situations I was going to bring up, which I think you answered already, was the whole Bryn Kenny stuff. So the collusion, whatever that was, the ghosting that was going on, which were in your games, I guess, because that was on GG.
Yeah.
And then the whole Insimovic and Schindler stuff, which was probably more America side, because they played on WSP.com, but they were still, I think Insimovic was on Stars and GG, and he was obviously using RTA, or allegedly, but he's not come out and defended himself. But I mean, that's kind of really interesting. I think that's a really interesting perspective. I guess that kind of leads me to the next question, I guess, which you have a good perspective on, is like, What do you think to the current state of online poker, and do you think there's like a future in it?
If the poker sites are collaborating together more closely for game security, think now with AI and all these solvers being able to deliver solutions in no time, there is a danger. Apart from that, I think it's in a good place. I think GG has done a lot good, even though I'm not necessarily agreeing on everything. But I think in the grand scheme of things, if it wouldn't be for GG, if GG wouldn't have entered the market and everything would have been the same with PokerStars being the market force and with Party Poker and ACR and like some couple of other sites, I think we would have been in a terrible place today.
Interesting. What do you think GG did that helped so good?
Great marketing.
Right. Interesting.
Absolute great marketing. I think they've hired the right people, content creators, influencers. They have been pushing the guarantees, even though their rebuy strategy and re-enter strategy until like 10 big blinds and unlimited is probably not the best. But I mean, they're not forcing it. You don't have to do it, right? You just fire one bullet, you go, and you play a very juicy tournament.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a big believer in what is at first. And I think and it also comes down to the recreations. If you're a recreational player and you look at the Sunday Million used to be what, like 200, 300K for first, even more. I don't know. Back in the days.
Yeah.
Now it's a 2-day, and very often Sundays you have to play Mondays. All right, am I going to play until the morning? Then I have to play another day, and then I maybe have to skip work. Is it really worth it? Not just the Sunday Million. I mean, the Sunday Million still has more than 100K, but like Sunday Storm, Super Tuesday used to be 100K for first. Sunday warm-ups used to be 80, 90K. I won it on Sunday. It's like 16K.
Right.
Or 14K even, I think. So it's like, and then versus GG. And I just think like that Stars wasn't innovative enough to make it work with the guarantees.
Mm-hmm.
And GG understood that. I mean, they had crazy guarantees, right? Where you have, even for smaller tournaments, 50K, 100K for first. Like smaller in terms of 100, 205 during series, whatnot. I mean, Scoop and W Cup is good, still good, but the weekly schedule during the week, I remember I used to win the Big 11 for like 22K or something. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, now it's like a couple of K.
That was a couple of K. And as a recreational, if you think, and it's not just the poker sites. I mean, the thing is, but I could on roulette, I could win that much with my like. That's the problem, right? It's like you compare it with roulette, with blackjack, whatnot. It's like, or I go play live or whatever. So for online poker, just keeping the guarantees up and keep pushing. Hey, you buy it for $100, maybe it's multiple steps, but at the end you could win $1 million. That's what everyone attracts, right? Like life-changing money. That's what. Okay, let's give it a shot. Good satellite structure, that's what it needs. And this is where I just feel like Stars has been slacking quite a bit. And apart from that, also innovation with the modes and like small stuff to make it entertaining. Recreation is like that. The staking option, now the last longer bets, it just makes it a whole more like almost like a live experience, right? When you play live, let's make a last longer bet. Let's make this, like, let's swap action, or let me buy. Like now it just goes on the fly. It goes so smooth on the software on GG. So that's just like playing this one tournament. Just all right, you might have a bit of action on this guy. You have a last longer bet. It's just like you have so many sweats. It just makes it so more entertaining and exciting to play. And that level of innovation, I think, has really helped the industry from GG as well. It's like not just one thing, like so many small things that they have done and invested into the game. Also now with WSOP and the broadcasting, the Super Millions, like there's also brought back that high stakes, right? It's like we're battling there against the best in the world. I think the only prestigious tournament on Stars right now is the 5K Titans on Sunday. But it's also not streamed. I remember back in the days, Full Tit, Railing, the Railbirds, they want to see the best against the best playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have it with the Sunday Million, the Super Millions. And I would like to see that PokerStars brings that back in any kind of shape or form. there's still so much needs to do, but that's just like I could rant about this for hours.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I've never thought about that. I mean, I started my poker journey at PokerStars. I did an internship there in the PR team, so we'll probably know mutual people like from your time.
Yeah.
You know, like Scott Goodall and Brandon, all those guys. Yeah, so like, we'll know the mutuals. But yeah, like when I joined, it was a very exciting time. Like 2018, they were still top of the market. No GG, but GG was still a club app, so it wasn't an actual legitimate poker site. And yeah, I mean, look, they fell off the ball a bit. They don't have the 500 Zoom doesn't run anymore. It feels very sharky. The collusion, I think, is worse on GG on PokerStars than any other site, just from my experience.
Really, is it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I felt I used to grind tournaments quite a lot. Now I'm just like exclusively cash. But before, you know, you'd be on a final table, you know, 9 out of the 11, or like the last couple, like 9 out of 11 people are Brazilian every time. It's just like. Actually, this was a funny story. I was playing the tag team at the WSP this year, and everyone was drinking a beer. Like some guy was driving beers. It was like, "Come on, everyone, let's have a drink." It was quite a fun table. There was one Brazilian girl. She was a pro for some site or something. But I was drinking with the guy. I was just telling him, I was like, "Yeah, Brazilians are colluding on these sites. There's discords where they'll ghost each other. You know, there's discords where there's hundreds of them, and they'll ghost like the low to mid stakes. They'll take over. They'll use, you know, data mining, swap hand histories and stuff." And he was like, "Oh, really?" And the girl said, "Yeah, I know, I'm in them." Like, she knows.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's really kind of like. So I guess you just highlighted all the positive things that are going on, which I definitely agree. I think the juicy guarantees, the UI, that can really keep driving poker growth. But are you at all concerned about these kind of like data mining issues, the RTA?
I mean, data mining, you don't have HUDs on GG, right? So
exactly,
that's less concern on GG. I think it's good. I think you should ban HUDs. That would eradicate this from the equation. Let's just go back, you against me. As long as it's allowed, I'm using, of course, HUDs. So then the ghosting, I mean, I'm not an expert. That's at the security team's responsibility to do everything what needs to be done. I'm more concerned about this. I'm more concerned about the solvers, that there needs to be some sort of, if you don't have this delay, this solver won't work, or adding some sort of limitations or whatever. I mean, I don't want to go too deep here now on how you can circumvent that. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but I don't think you need to be an Einstein in order to find out how to make it work.
Yeah.
But I think these are the biggest concerns right now. Other than that, I see it in a good place. I mean, the WSOP has banked some sick numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see that live poker is flourishing. And I think a lot of poker online pros are also, because of this ghosting, because of the RTA usage possibly, and other stuff. I don't know what might be going on. They're all considering now to transition more into live poker. Right? It's like, all right, because there you can't really cheat. Yeah. I mean, or it's a lot harder. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, well, people have tried with the GTA wizard on their phone.
Yeah,
but no, that's a really good point. I mean, I could sit and talk about it for hours. I think it's fascinating, but it does feel like all signs are pointing towards collaboration between the big sites, some kind of poker union or some kind of higher advisory board or something. I mean, I think they've tried before; it's never worked. But yeah, that's a great point. I'm consciously at time, so I'll try and wrap some of the last ones up. One question I've always wondered: how come you never play like Triton? And you play the WSOP, but that's kind of it, really.
Well, I have two businesses on the side, so it's always a massive sacrifice. I do enjoy it. Like, for me, I think compared to other poker players, it's not just like giving up the online grind, but I'm also giving up my life for 2 weeks. And it's not just my businesses. Right. I love my fiance. I love spending time with her. I love my friends. I love kickboxing here with my coach 2 weeks of this. Just so many things I have to sacrifice. And no, I will certainly go toward one Triton stop. That's my plan, at least. But I mean, sorry to everyone living in London, but that's not one of my most favorite destinations. I want to make it worth, and maybe in Asia somewhere where I see a new place, new culture, and learn something about the people there, and see some other stuff, and can broaden my horizon. But London is definitely not the place I want to be. So that's just the main reason, Okay. And I sit there online playing 50 tournaments on a Sunday versus one tournament in 2 days, So not the hardest decision.
It'd be cool to see you at a Triton table, man. So hopefully one day.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know, Triton in Vietnam or somewhere. I don't know, and could see you there. But
and it's also not like the motivation is not there because I'm still playing against all these guys online. So it's not like, oh, let's go battle against the best. Want to see? Yeah, I'm playing
the
against
same
them.
people.
So it's the
Yeah.
same people. Of course, life is a little bit different. It has its challenge, but
Yeah.
again, it's not big enough for me to sacrifice all the other things in my life.
My theory is that you don't want to go because maybe Sam Greenwood or Steven Chibbuck or somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, you call me a fish," and you say, "Over, call the big fine."
I don't know. I think like most of them, I've talked to some of them and we have a laugh. We talk about hands, and sometimes it would be funny. I also had a hand against on Sunday against Christian Rudolph. I sent him WhatsApp, "Hey, you donk," So it's like it's all funny, and I think we all respect each other. And I think sometimes we also think sometimes they're like, "What is TV doing here, this donk?" But it all comes from a place of mutual respect,
Of course.
and then this just level or situation of competitiveness that you just have certain thoughts, and that's normal. I think if you follow me, you know that I think that Stevie is probably right now the best tournament player in the world, online and live. And so
you can't please everybody, though, I guess, right?
I mean, listen, if someone really thinks like this, then you should work on your triggers and work on
the
yourself.
mental game.
Yeah.
Take the mental game course at Raise Your Edge.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw. This is the first time I'm trying this segment, but I wanted to plan it before some other guests. But I think this is the inaugural time. I'm gonna throw you some quick questions. A couple word answers.
Yeah.
And then we'll be done. Okay, what's your favorite tournament to play?
Sunday Storm.
I was hoping you'd say that. I always joke with my friends that you still play it. I think it's hilarious. You'll have the Sunday Storm and then like a 10K. Brilliant. Okay, toughest opponent.
Right now, probably Arthur Martrosian, if I pronounce it correctly. He just plays such a different style, so unpredictable. He does so many weird things that I don't even want to say if it's bad. I think it might be bad, but I think he also might have his reasons. And every time I have a good hand and I know he likes to call it out, he wakes up with quads or something. It's like, go on, just let me win against this guy.
Dude, I was fascinated. I saw him at the World Series when my first day there. It was like the high roller, and I was like, man, this guy must have been around forever. And he's like 24 or 23 or something crazy.
Yeah, I think he's one of the guys who appeared rather recently in the high stakes scene. I don't know, maybe he played before, but like tournament online, compared, Lena has been around forever, Pats, Darwin, European, like all these guys we constantly battle. I think Arthur was more like the last couple of years, even if it's already 3 or 4 years. I mean, time flies by,
Yeah, he's still super young though, right? And
it's for sure. Yeah.
All right. I guess it's like a multi-question, but who's the greatest of all time, or who's your poker idol? I guess they might be the same person.
Poker idol. I mean, in these days, I have a lot of respect for Stevie. Mm-hmm. Just his consistency and being able to do so well online and live. I mean, a guy like Adamo, very good. But the thing is, what he lacks compared to Stevie is just his consistency, right? He had 1 or 2 great years, and now, where is he? Right? Not saying he's bad. Maybe he takes a break, So take it with a bit of caution here, and another caveat. But if then you had Fedor having 1 or 2 insane years, he's still one of the best. But if we talk about the absolute best, and you look at every year's how is this rating called? GPR rating, like the player of the year. GPI, yeah. You always see Stevie in the top 10 almost every single year,
That's really good point. Yeah.
Also plays a lot of different formats. I also know we used to battle ton against Sit-n-Gos, like we were just battling all the time. So I also understand that he just has this crazy good short stack, and I see him fundamentals. He has a good life, just like overall. And for me, there's even no discussion. If someone says, Ben, this is a subject, no, that's a fact for me,
That's really cool.
So, yeah, also feel like he has an insane strong mindset. But the way I met him first time in Vegas 2014 because his girlfriend would prepare meals for poker players. So that's how we got to know each other. And I always felt like, he also takes his health very important, the outside factors of poker, nutrition, he looks sharp. Mm-hmm. And I certainly take a lot of inspiration from it, And overall just a very smart person and also very nice and kind. So yeah.
Interesting. What's his
I would say.
username? What, by the way, online? For people that might not
On
know.
Stars, I think it was Stevie444,
Right.
and on GG it's his
Just his
Steven
name, yeah.
Chidwick.
Was it? I think it was Steve that did one of my favorite plays of all time. I think he had like the nuts, like quads in a spot. It might be on the bubble, like a very high stakes live tournament, maybe like 7 cash on the final table. And he has the nuts on the river, but I think he was chip leading. So quite instinctively, rather than put the guy all in, he just calls down the river, keeps the short stack alive, and then can continue to run the table over.
Yeah.
And they had to call the floor because I think there's a rule in poker where if someone just calls with the nuts on the river, they have to
Stevie just called?
Yeah, he just called, and kept the bubble alive and then continued just to run over. And I thought that was really like one of the best plays I've ever seen. I think, honestly. To be out aware, right?
I mean, if it's, I think you probably get a penalty or.
I think something did happen, but I think there was like a discussion, like an explanation. It was a couple of years ago. But I think when he explained it, I think they had to allow it or some kind of reason. But yeah, it was. Or he might have had to like take a couple of hands out or something.
I mean, he has to. Like, honestly, there's no way around, because the reason why you have to raise is not to allow colluding, because technically that's what happens, right? He's my friend. He's short stack. Maybe I bought action on him. Like, there is no room for excuses or explanation. Even if the only reason might be that Stevie thinks it's worth even take that penalty. Maybe 1 or 2 hands he has to sit out, or even entire orbit. But is it really worth it? But you can't really apply pressure. I mean, it makes sense to let the short sticks alive. And it's actually very interesting from a strategic standpoint, because we did this back in the days with Sit-n-Gos. Mm-hmm. But what happened is that the mid stacks, because there you also play a lot of hands against each other. And I do that as well on the high stakes environment, because there are some regs who overdo it. I just spike call them. Because the thing is that you just suffer more EV, and you hope that in the long term, and we would spike call each other like crazy if you would push it too much. If you would make crazy, he goes on 2 big blinds, you're in the big blind, you fold. It's like you sit there with your 6 big blinds. All right, fuck it. The next time you jam into my stack, I call you king who's off, and let's gamble. Because then both would lose EV.
Yeah, that's
and sometimes in the chat it would go mental. Like, it was crazy times. It was actually a lot of fun, And I would keep track of it. I would have notes like, who are the guys who pushing it too far? So I have like a spike call list. I literally had a spike call list. I think Stevie was never on there. I have to have a look. I still have this file. It's like pages with notes and reads. I was like, spike call this motherfucker, spike call this motherfucker when you're on the bubble in mid stack, because otherwise you're just losing too much EV.
That's amazing, man. Oh, that's great. Guess kind of a quick good question to that. So, like, let me put yourself from the Sit-n-Go days in front of you now. What's one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
For when?
Start your journey.
Start your journey?
The poker journey.
I mean, so many different ones, but if it just would be one, to earlier focus more on everything outside of poker. I think if I would have done it earlier, I could have had better results. I still had good results, but still took me quite long to get up, to move up in stakes. And I was too focused, like strategy, right? And neglect some relationships and neglect a little bit my health, Not like having 5 Red Bulls a day to grind through all nights, pay attention to my sleep. I mean, in your earlier 20s, it's a bit more forgiving, your body. Mm-hmm. But still, I think it would have put me in a better shape and overall better mood. And this would have been certainly.
That's a great piece of advice. Everyone thinks, it's going to be something poker related, but getting away from poker.
Learning poker is not so difficult. Yeah. Like, really, especially in these days. It takes time. It's still a challenge. Don't get me wrong. But there's certainly a lot of harder things out there in the world to learn in order to master it or to make money with it.
Yeah.
And reach your goals. 100%. Poker is not one of them.
I felt like when I was in Vegas, it was my first time in Vegas this summer, and I took over the whole role, put some in tournaments, but mainly cash, and had a great time, very profitable. But I think most of my EV, actually, in hindsight, was just the networking. I met so many great people in the industry and players and stuff that I'm still in touch with. I don't look at relationships like EV, but I'm going to get more out of those relationships with those people long term. We both are mutually than the money or the poker winnings.
Yeah.
So that's a really great point. I think when people think about it. I guess to conclude, will online poker be bigger or smaller in 10 years?
Bigger.
Bigger. Okay, you're
Yeah.
very confident.
There are obstacles, right? But if I would have to decide, clearly the way it's going right now, it's gonna get bigger.
Fantastic, man. Dude, I will. Don't want to keep much more of your time. Fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on. I think it's been a great conversation from my point
Thank
of
you.
view.
Yeah, great questions. Thank you so much. Appreciate it being here.
Can you give people some I'll obviously link everything in the bio of the podcast and the article, but can you tell people where they can find you, what courses, where they can find your Raise Your Edge content?
I mean, the best piece of advice, if you don't know us yet, is check out our free course. We have a free 5-day course. No hidden cost, no hidden fees, no big commitment. Check out how we roll, how we think. And then bencb or Raise Your Edge on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch. I stream there most Sundays, my tournaments. And yeah, I think that's the
Perfect.
most important platforms where you can find us.
Fantastic.